A video of my husband's first love and a senior attending screwing in an operating room went viral. The internet exploded. Anonymized outrage demanded the hospital administration launch a full investigation into the incident of moral decay. To protect her, my husband, Ethan, went live on Instagram. He told the world the woman in that grainy, illicit video was me. Overnight, I became a pariah. Men catcalled me on the street, their words dripping with a grotesque blend of contempt and invitation. Everyone whispered about the slutty doctor. My mother drove to the hospital to confront Ethan, her voice shaking with a righteous fury I hadn't heard in years. He just told her to mind her own business, so she went to the roof. To prove my innocence, she jumped from the 18th floor of the hospital's main tower, her body hitting the pavement right in front of me. Through a haze of shock and grief, I asked him why. Why would he do this to us? Ethan's voice was calm, almost bored. Claire's fragile, Anna. She couldn't handle the online hate. You're stronger. This kind of thing, it won't break you. 7 years of love. 3 years of marriage. All of it turned to ash in that single, chilling moment. My heart didn't just break, it died. 1. The divorce papers felt weightless in my hand, a flimsy record of a colossal wreck. I slid them into a manila folder, my face a blank mask I had perfected over the last few weeks. When I pushed open the door to Ethan's office, he was at his desk, the blue light of the monitor glinting off his glasses. He looked up, and a flash of irritation crossed his face, a look I'd come to know intimately. For Christ's sake, Anna, are you still dragging this out? I thought you'd have learned your lesson by now. My hand, hanging by my side, curled into a fist, nails digging into my palm. I kept my eyes down. This is my suspension report. It needs your signature. Just as Ethan picked up the document, his phone buzzed on the desk. I glanced over. The screen lit up with a picture of Claire. He snatched it up, his voice instantly softening. I could hear Claire's manufactured sob through the speaker. Ethan, he came looking for me again. I'm so scared. Ethan shot to his feet, scribbling his name across the form without a second glance. He then shoved the papers at me, the sharp edge of the cardstock slicing my cheek. He didn't notice. He was already gone, sprinting out of the office to rescue her. I knelt, gathering the scattered documents from the floor. His signature, usually a controlled, elegant script, was a frantic scrawl. I tucked my copy of the divorce agreement safely away and looked around the empty office, a space that once felt like a shared dream. I spoke the words to the silence. It's over, Ethan. We had been together for 7 years. He had loved me with a fierce, possessive passion that made me feel like the center of the universe. He once told me if I wanted the moon, he'd find a way to lasso it for me. Everyone in Northwood knew that Ethan Sterling, the golden boy of the Sterling Group, was utterly bewitched by me. No one dared say a negative word about Anna Reed in his presence. The night he proposed, he lit up the city skyline with fireworks, a spectacle designed to announce our happiness to the world. He made me a princess in a fairy tale of his own making. Then Claire came back, and he pushed me off the castle walls. I learned the truth then. The reason the heir to the Sterling fortune had even noticed me, a scholarship kid from the wrong side of the tracks, was because I had a face that was a 70% match to Claire's. All the devotion he'd shown me was just borrowed love, a placeholder for the real thing. I'd asked for a divorce. His answer had been cold and final. Sterlings don't divorce, Anna. We widow. But that was before. Whenever Claire was involved, Ethan lost all reason. I wondered what his face would look like when he realized the paper he'd signed wasn't a suspension report, but his freedom. A bitter laugh escaped me, so sharp it brought tears to my eyes. This is better. Ethan, I thought, I hope you live to regret this. I composed myself and went to the hospital administrator's office to say my goodbyes. Anna, it's you. Dr. Harris looked 10 years older, the stress of the scandal having bleached the remaining color from his hair. Dr. Harris, I came to say goodbye. I placed my official resignation on his desk. This should take the heat off the hospital. The trolls will have their sacrifice. He sighed, his expression a mixture of pity and deep disappointment. Anna, the investigation isn't even finished. If you just wait, the truth might come out. A humorless smile touched my lips. I can't win this fight, sir. You know that. Dr. Harris had been my mentor, almost a father figure. He knew the whole sordid story. He also knew that Ethan Sterling was dead set on protecting Claire. And as the heir to the Sterling Group, the hospital's largest benefactor, what Ethan wanted, Ethan got. My mentor's hands were tied. What will you do? He asked, his voice heavy. I'm thinking of going abroad. Finally take that fellowship I turned down. His eyes lit up with genuine pleasure. In medical school, I'd been at the top of my class, fielding offers from prestigious programs across the globe. I'd turned them all down for Ethan. That's wonderful news, Anna. Truly. You go, you let this whole thing blow over. When you come back, your reputation will be restored. We talked for a few more minutes, then I stood and bowed my head slightly. Thank you, Dr. Harris, for everything you've taught me. 2. Leaving the administrator's office, a sliver of the crushing weight on my chest seemed to lift. I went back to the office I once shared with Ethan to pack up my personal belongings. Just as I was taping up the last box, the door opened. Ethan walked in, his arm wrapped protectively around a weeping Claire. His brow furrowed when he saw me. What are you doing here? Claire's head snapped up. She broke away from Ethan, her voice a hysterical shriek. Was it you? Did you let him in? Ethan promised he'd never be allowed in the hospital again. Why would you bring him here? Ethan's gaze turned to ice as it landed on me. I thought you were done making trouble. It seems your mother's death didn't teach you a damn thing. Apologize to Claire. His words were like 1,000 tiny needles piercing my skin. Ever since Claire had reappeared, everything was my fault. She was consistently late for her shifts. I had created an unreasonable schedule that disrupted her circadian rhythm. She prescribed double the normal dose of blood pressure medication to a patient. She claimed I wrote the order and forged her name. She misdiagnosed a gallbladder attack as gastritis, nearly killing a patient. She blamed me for not double-checking her ultrasound reading. Anyone else could see through her clumsy, pathetic lies, but not Ethan. The moment Claire's eyes welled with tears, I was the villain. Time and time again, he forced me to apologize, grinding my pride into the dirt until there was nothing left. So, when her affair with the chief resident was exposed, and she called Ethan crying, Claiming the man had assaulted her on my orders, Ethan believed her without hesitation. He demanded I go online and confess that I was the woman in the video. When I refused, he used his credentials as head of cardiothoracic surgery to start a live stream and publicly name me himself. But this time, I didn't apologize. I looked at Claire, my voice flat. You know exactly why he's looking for you. You should stop pretending you actually believe that woman in the video is me. Her eyes flared with rage. You sent him to ruin my life. She took a step forward, her body starting to crumple as if she were about to kneel. I'm begging you, please, just stop torturing me. Ethan caught her instantly, pulling her back against his chest. Anna, I warned you not to play these games. Now get on your knees and apologize to Claire. Beg for her forgiveness, or I'll make sure you are never reinstated. Before I could respond, the office door slammed open. The chief resident's wife, a large, furious woman, stormed in, clutching a small bucket. You fucking homewrecker, she screamed, her eyes locked on me. Can't you survive without a man in your bed? She lunged, throwing the contents of the bucket at me. I didn't have time to react. A wave of rancid, stinking filth, what smelled like garbage and dirty mop water, drenched my face in scrubs. Ethan's first instinct was to shield Claire, spinning her around and covering her with his own body. It's okay, he murmured into her hair. I'm here. No one will hurt you. The image burned itself into my mind. I remembered a night years ago when he took me to a dive bar, wanting to show me a different side of the city. A drunk guy had tried to grope me. Ethan didn't hesitate. He smashed a beer bottle over the man's head. His father had to bail us out of the police station, slapping Ethan hard across the face in the process. It was the first time I'd met Mr. Sterling, the first time I'd seen Ethan look vulnerable. It only made me love him more. As he got older, he grew colder, more distant, his Sterling entitlement hardening into a shell. I never thought I'd see that reckless, protective fire in him again, and now I had. It just wasn't for me anymore. The woman turned her rage entirely on me. She had a small wooden stick, maybe a broken mop handle, and she started hitting me with it. I tried to fight back, to shield myself, but she was strong, fueled by a righteous fury, and I was her target. She only stopped when she was exhausted, spitting on my crumpled form on the floor. Fucking whore. If I ever see you near my husband again, this will be nothing. You hear me? 3. She left, slamming the door behind her. I was curled on the floor, every part of my body screaming in pain. Ethan took a step toward me, his hand outstretched, but then he saw the filth clinging to me and recoiled. A flicker of guilt crossed his face, quickly replaced by his usual weary frustration. You've been suspended. Just go home and rest. Stay out of sight. Once this blows over, I'll talk to the board about getting you reinstated. Before the words were even fully out of his mouth, Claire started sobbing again. Ethan, she's a monster. If she finds out the video was really me, what if she does this to me? What if she sends that woman after me? Ethan, I can't live like this. I might as well be dead. She covered her face and ran out of the office. Ethan shot me one last conflicted look before chasing after her, his voice calling her name down the hall. He never looked back. I slowly, painfully, pulled myself to my feet and walked out of the hospital, a ghost in my own life, covered in someone else's grime. There's a 30-day cooling-off period for a divorce. I still had to arrange my travel documents for the fellowship. I dragged my bruised body back to the penthouse we shared, ignoring the horrified and disgusted stares of people on the street. We bought this place because it was close to the hospital. I had designed every inch of it myself, from the custom bookshelves to the color of the tiles in the master bath. It was filled with memories, echoes of a life I no longer recognized. Now, every beautiful detail felt like a mockery. I pulled out a suitcase and began to pack. My belongings were pathetically few, mostly things I'd bought with my own salary. Everything Ethan had ever given me, every lavish gift the Sterling family sent over on holidays, I left behind. My eyes landed on two small, hand-knitted dolls sitting on the dresser in our walk-in closet. When Ethan proposed, he didn't have a ring. Instead, he'd spent weeks learning to crochet, presenting me with these two figures, their yarn hands stitched together. He'd said, "This is us. We're like these dolls, tied together forever. Nothing can ever pull us apart." I took a pair of scissors from my sewing kit and snipped the thread connecting their hands. I tossed the female doll into the trash. Everything in this house should have been mine. I spun around. Claire was standing in the doorway of the closet, wearing a fire engine red slip dress. On her feet were the matching pair of slippers I'd bought for Ethan and me. "What are you doing here?" I demanded. She sauntered into the bedroom, her eyes greedily scanning the rows of designer bags and jewelry. Ethan brought me, of course. He wanted me to get a feel for the place, pick out which room I liked best. She perched on the edge of the bed, running her hand over the silk duvet. "I think the master suite is perfect. Great view, and I bet it's soundproof. Don't you think?" My fingers clenched. I couldn't believe he would bring her here, into our home. "If I hadn't left back then, you never would have had a chance to be Mrs. Sterling," she said, her voice laced with a venomous resentment. "I was his first, Anna, and he has never, ever loved anyone but me." I already knew this. Hearing it again just felt dull. The pain had cauterized itself. I ignored her and went back to packing. Seeing she wasn't getting a rise out of me, she pouted and started to wander around the room, touching everything. When I turned back, she was standing at my vanity, admiring a silver locket on her wrist. My blood ran cold. It was the only thing I had left of my mother's. "Take it off." Claire jumped, startled. "What's your problem? Everything here is going to be mine soon enough anyway." I said, "Take it off." I lunged for her, trying to pry the locket from her wrist. It was caught, the delicate chain snagged. She shrieked in pain. "Let go. You're hurting me." I grabbed a fistful of her hair, my vision tunneling. "Give it back to me."